Hello, thanks for stopping by. We're going to talk about Arsenal first of all. You just saw it there, unbeaten in 19 games in all competitions now, and a 4-2 win over their North London rivals. Let's kick it off. Actually, we'll start with you, Paul Merson, because you're an ex-Arsenal boy, of course. In terms of how important that win was in their season, in the landscape, do you think that they'll get a lot more respect for what Unai Emery is trying to do at Arsenal now that they've beaten an opponent like Spurs?
Yeah, 100%. Oh, 100%. That was a big win for Arsenal to play against Tottenham, who, you know, everybody was saying before the build-up, you know, I was one of them that you'd think Tottenham was a better team than Arsenal, but no, that shows that the fans. I haven't seen the Emirates rock like that for a long, long time, if ever. Since it's been open, if I'm being honest, it was one of them games the fans were right up for, the players were right up for, and the manager showed, for me, what a good manager he is and how tactically good he is.
Tim, when Unai Emery took over, it's a culture change when you've had one manager there for 2 decades. He had a lot of work to do, and I think a lot of people thought he would probably be allowed or afforded a bit more time, but he's hit the ground running. He's
done it quicker than anyone expected. It's a great time to take over at Arsenal because they were drifting down a river without a paddle. You know, there was no direction. So anyone who went in there was going to change the direction of it. You know, he's not changed too much the way they play, I would suggest. I think they've still got weakness defensively, but what he's got 2 players now in Aubameyang and Lacazette who are real threats. And he's tactically aware and he knows how to make changes and he knows when to make changes. I mean, when's the last time we've ever seen Arsenal change 2 players at half-time? You know, under Wenger, he didn't do it. You know, it was 60 minutes minimum before he'd made any change. He would always give the players on the pitch to give the opportunity to win the game. But Emery's recognising when it's not going right and he changes it. And he did that to devastating effect at the weekend.
When we talk about style of play, Tim doesn't think it's changed too much under Unai Emery in comparison to Arsene Wenger, but there is a little bit of a difference with the style and what he's asking of the players. What's impressed you most about what he's changed?
I think they're all working for each other. I think they work a lot harder. I think they try and press the ball. I still think there's a lot of work to be done on pressing the ball because when you do press it, everybody's got to press at the right time. And I think that helped him with Ozil not playing in this game, if I'm being honest, because if he did, you only need one person that doesn't close down, you're in trouble. And he's got someone in the middle of the park now who I would call a dog, who gets around people, who closes people down, who tries to win the ball back. Arsenal used to, and have always been, one of the best teams you'll see with the ball. Last year, year before that, probably the worst team in the country, let alone in the Premier League, without the ball. And I think that's where it's changed for me.
Paul, when you look at these stats and what the difference is under Unai Emery compared to Arsene Wenger last season, you can see their second-half goals, and we'll go into this in a little bit more detail. They're first for that. Points from losing positions, it shows some resolve, but also the distance they're running per game. First this season in the Premier League versus 8th last season, so that is a significant change.
Yeah, sometimes. For me, that means sometimes you can be giving the ball away more than you should be giving the ball away sometimes, like when you've run the most. I find that hard. I mean, we used to have that Aston Villa, them stats, and I'd be one of the lowest runners on the pitch, but I would have played 5 or 6 important balls in the game that would have opened the defence up. I mean, there's swings and roundabouts. I'm not a great lover in that, but yeah, anybody can run around. I mean, even the man in the stand can run around. You know, you've got to
do something with it.
You've got to do something more than that. You can't all be all run-arounders.
So if we don't like that stat, the running stat, what we do like, really, is the goals from substitutions. And you mentioned it a minute ago there. They're top in terms of how he makes changes to the team. That's impressive and that's bold, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's not only that, it's that the boys are coming off the bench with real belief that they can go on and affect it. So they're coming with the right attitude. They're not sulking because they're not playing. If he feels like they're going to sulk, he leaves them out of the squad. And I think Ozil springs to mind there.
Yes.
You know, if he feels like the player is training hard, but he decides to go a different route, then he keeps that one interested. And he's bringing them off the bench and they're affecting the game. I don't think the style's changed too much. I think the mentality has changed an awful lot. Because if you're not training well and doing what that manager wants, he will leave you out. He's got no issue with that. He hasn't got favourites at the club. Because you're a superstar, because you earn the most money at the football club, doesn't guarantee you a start with Unai Emery. And I think he's absolutely right the way he's going about it.
There is this stat flying around, I'm going to throw at you, that they've never gone into this season, they haven't gone into half-time in a winning position yet. That's got to be cause for concern, hasn't it?
Unbelievable. It's just absolutely scary at the highest level. You know, are they a team that they play when they're behind and the shackles are off, and you know you can relax a lot more? You ain't got nothing to, you've got nothing to lose now. You've only got something to gain. That would be a worry. It would be a worry for me. It needs to get sorted. It does. You know, I've seen another team like that, Bournemouth, a bit like that this season. I've seen Bournemouth come back from 1-0 down and 2-0 downs, and you know, and everybody's coming off the pitch. You think, well, you've got to start like that. Yeah. Start like that. And I don't know what that is. That would be my worry. Is you can't keep on going to the well. You can't keep on going behind and coming back, and that needs to change. I think. That surprised me, because if they're doing that much running, I'd like to see what the running is in the first half and what the running is in the second half, if you're going to put the distances of how far they run.
They didn't start slow at the weekend, though, did
I thought they were outstanding.
Very, very well. They should have been 3 up.
Yeah, first
3 up in the game,
minutes.
and then Tottenham get the goal back, and it looked like they would take over the game. And that is when he made the changes. Got him in at half-time, recognised the change, brought on Aaron Ramsey and brought on Lacazette. Game changed.
Let's talk about individual players, and we'll mention Alexander Lacazette in a second, but Lucas Torreira, that holding midfield role was a concern for Arsenal in previous years, and he's come in and he's made an impact. Have you been impressed with him?
Yeah, I mean, I'm more impressed after seeing him at the weekend in a North London derby than I have been in the other games. I know he's done well. A lot of friends who go to Arsenal and watch a lot of games, and they've really taken to him. You know, he's a wholehearted, he leaves nothing on the pitch, busy, gets around the field, likes to get his foot in, keeps shifting the ball, pass it easy, never going to open anyone up with a pass. He found himself in a goal-scoring opportunity at the weekend and scores a goal in a North London derby. He'll be a hero for a long, long time.
His first Premier League goal is not a bad way to kick it off.
No, very much so. No, he deserved it. I mean, Arsenal haven't had one of them for a long, long time. One of them players that are going to get round people, are going to close down again. Arsenal fans want that. They love, you know, every fan loves someone who's going to, as Tim says, doesn't leave anything on the pitch, gives absolutely everything. And because every fan who's watching, that's how they would be. They would play like that, and they just try their absolute hardest, and that's what he does every week. And he looks better than. I'm not saying looks better than what he is, but he's appreciated more than what he's probably doing, because they haven't had one of them players for a long, 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 long time. Yeah, here we go.
His work rate is quite phenomenal, really. His passing accuracy, 90%. That's first. This is within the club. Recovery is first. I was going to say. Fouls on first.
It's still good,
and interceptions second. And that's what he does that I think endears him to the fans, as he goes and he wins those balls back.
Absolutely, and he recognises what he's good at. I mean, he doesn't play for himself. He knows what his game is about, breaking the game up and passing it to someone who can play, and that's what he does. And with the two lads we talked about, 2 strikers, he's got firepower there. And if they get any sort of space, he's just giving them the ball when they want it, not when he's finished with it. He's got no self-indulgence in his game, and that's an art. You know, and it's interesting, that's one of Unai Emery's signings.
Exactly.
Once he gets a couple more windows, you've got to be encouraged as an Arsenal fan, seeing them at the moment, and he's only had 1 transfer window, and he's only been able to bring in 4 or 5 players.
And those players that he brought in, considering he wasn't given a lot of money to play with, especially when you compare it to teams not just above them, but also teams below them that have spent a lot of money in this last transfer window. Lucas Torreira, you can see that at the top, 26 million. But also Bernd Leno, who's now starting in goal. Socrates, Guendouzi, who actually comes on and makes a
be a very good player. He's a good player. I do like him, and you know, he's only a youngster and he'll do well. The Liechtensteiner one, I could see that. You know, the defence weren't great, but he's an experienced player. They need an experienced head who probably teach the players. As the days go on in training, he'll be talking to the other players and telling them. And I think he's done great. I think Torreira, for me, I'm with Tim, 90% is so hard. When you're in a game and you're getting on the ball a lot more than a lot of other players, it's so easy to get carried away and start trying to hit 60, 70-yard crossfield balls. It doesn't do that, and that there's an absolute art to that.
As effective as Lucas Torreira has been to Arsenal, can you see another signing in the window just gone who has been as effective to a single club?
Oh, you put me on the spot there.
We can come back to you if you want.
I think for Arsenal fans, I don't care about anyone else. I mean, he has been a jewel in the crown for them. You know, I think along with the 2 strikers there, but a new Emery signing. I think he has to be right up there. There will be other signings at other clubs. We only see the highlights of it, you know. So the fans are the best ones to ask. But at the moment, I would say that he's been a very, very good signing.
Let's talk about Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who must have really enjoyed that North London derby at the weekend significantly, and another player that's really endeared himself to the fans, and a player that doesn't necessarily start every game this season, but is scoring a lot of goals and seems to be really finding his feet in the Premier League.
Yeah, very much so. I think he hit the ground running straight away. I think he completely went under the radar when he come, you know, because Arsenal weren't great when he come in the window. No one was really paying any attention to Arsenal because they weren't in a title race, and he was getting goals. He was scoring goals, and he's scoring goals again now. I mean, the man's a goal machine. I mean, these second goals, that's world. If Messi scored that, we'd all be going mad. We'd be going, oh, what a goal! Or Ronaldo. I mean, it's a proper goal with a proper goalkeeper in goal who didn't even move. He just literally just stood there and watched it go in. I mean, to have the audacity to see it and everything was, you know, he's a very good player with electric pace. Electric pace.
Since he joined the Premier League in February, only Mohamed Salah has scored as many goals as he has. And when you see it out like that, with the comparisons to the likes of Harry Kane and Aguero's in there as well, and Sterling down the bottom there, does that surprise you?
It does surprise me, yeah. I mean, he's up there with some of the best players in the league, but he has been a great signing, and they're playing into his strengths. You know, sometimes he's drifting off the left-hand side. He lets him play quite loose. He stretches teams out. He scores a lot of the goals. Obviously, Arsenal score a lot of the goals in the second half when the game's a little bit dead. He comes off the bench and he scores, and he affects it as well. Gets himself in goal-scoring positions. Scores all types of goals, obviously predominantly on his right side. Can score headed goals. He gets himself in the width for the goal. No, he's been a brilliant signing. What a signing he's been. He's been an asset to any team in the Premier League. He'd be a great asset to.
We've spoken about Ozil being left out of the squad of the last couple of games. And do you think that he fits in with the way that Unai Emery wants to play?
No. Not if they're going to play like they did on Sunday, with that tempo, playing quick moving football and then trying to win the ball back. No, I'm a big fan of Ozil. I think he's a proper player, but you know, it's horses for courses, and some players just don't fit certain clubs. And for me, I'd be surprised if he ain't offloaded in January, let alone the end of the season.
It'd be difficult for him though, Merce, because every top team in the land now play that high press.
Yeah.
You know, if Ozil doesn't want to run around, he doesn't want to do anything out of possession, it'd be difficult for him to find a club bigger than Arsenal.
But I can't see him being able to do that. I just can't see his game being able to do it.
What about Aaron Ramsey? Because his future is uncertain at Arsenal. Would you keep hold of Ramsey? Would you keep hold of Aaron Ramsey rather than Mesut Ozil?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Without doubt, because you can rely on Aaron to give you a performance. You know, I don't think you can rely on Mesut to give you a performance. He's obviously got undoubted ability. Everyone in the world knows that. But it's when he fancies it, and he don't fancy it enough for me. You know, as a manager, you want to put your head on the pillar and on a Friday night before the game, and you want to know that you're going to get what you're going to get from your players. And I think he will keep you awake all night. You know, when you keep waking up and you're looking at Mesut Ozil every time you wake up, it's not a pretty sight. You know, I just think, no, I'll need to get rid of him. I need to get rid of him.
Or not sleep with him.
That's an interesting. This is what we have you on to.
I know.
Do you know what I'm saying? He just keep you awake. You know, he gives you nightmares. You don't want that. You want someone you can rely on. And I think that Aaron Ramsey, he's a reliable player. He's been a great servant to Arsenal Football Club. I think they've been very good to him as well. Now, they've managed, for whatever reason, they managed to run his contract down, which is not very good business. And maybe Emery's decided there might be someone in the youth team or someone he's got his eye on to bring in to replace Aaron. And he might not get the game time. He's certainly not getting the game time at the moment. He come on to great effect at the weekend, and he affected the game, and he set up 2 goals.
Ozil's going to be at a place who play counter-attacking football, who are going to play on the counter-attack and have him as someone like a free role. But any team that are going to press, no chance. You need 11 people to press. If one don't press, teams will go through you like a knife through butter nowadays.
Do Arsenal need to get rid of him? His wages are quite expensive in terms of...
Well, that's the problem. He's getting rid of his wages. They'll probably have to weigh some of that money in themselves and swallow a pill. And the Ramsey one, I'd be shocked. I mean, well shocked if his agent ain't already got something on the table, everything sorted. Because if he hasn't, he's playing a dangerous game. You know, he should have something now. This lad's a good player, and he's going to be on a free transfer at the end of the season, which for Arsenal, it's embarrassing.
So we're praising Unai Emery's tactics in the North London derby and the changes that he made and that he got it right. And the flip side of that is Mauricio Pochettino. Did he get it wrong?
Well, it's always, in hindsight, it's easy to be a football manager when you look at decisions made. I was surprised when I saw Alderweireld wasn't in the starting lineup with Vertonghen. I know that they're looking for the future because Alderweireld almost certainly will not be at the football club next year. And the young Argentinian boy Foyt has come into the side, struggled a wee bit. He's made a few mistakes at Wolves. He's made a mistake in the derby at the beginning of last week against Chelsea when he should have given a penalty away. It wasn't given, got away with that one. And he makes another mistake at the weekend. Now, I understand Mauricio wants to see if he can play in the big games, give him the confidence to stick with him. But it comes a time when you're playing in that position, which is a centre-half, which is a very responsible position on the field. When you make a mistake, you invariably get punished at the top level. He's made too many, and maybe the boy needed to come out. It was a massive game. It's a North London derby, and arguably the two best centre-half partnership in the country is Alderweireld and Jan Vertonghen. So, but it's easy sitting here after the event. You know, Mauricio makes a lot of decisions at that football club, and you have to say 99% of them have been correct up to now.
It is obviously a stinging loss because of the context and because of the derby and it being such a big game, but where does it leave Spurs now? And should they start worrying?
No. One game. I mean, they play Southampton at home on Wednesday. Arsenal go to Man United. I mean, I expect Arsenal to win, but if Arsenal drew that game, which you wouldn't be shocked, and Tottenham win, they're 2 points above Arsenal again, and it's...
Do you think everyone's getting a bit carried away with themselves?
Yeah, of course they are. This is a good Tottenham team. Arsenal played well on the day, you know, and won the game. I'd be worried if I was a Tottenham fan, because I think them players get on the coach and they go home and they start thinking, am I going to win anything here? Deep down, am I going to win anything? We talked about it the other day. These are going to be wealthy people, whatever, at the end of the season, at the end of their careers. But you want to be wealthy and win things. Don't just be wealthy and win things. And I think that's worrying thing now, if I was a Tottenham fan, is will these players start questioning the club and where are we going and am I going to win something here? And at the moment, you've got to say that they're well short of the league. But I wouldn't get carried away. I mean, if you ask me now who's going to finish above who, Arsenal or Tottenham, I'd still have to go Tottenham.
We did ask you something, though, before the North London derby, both of you, for your combined 11. And today, when we threw this out, we got a lot of reaction from people that wanted to hear your thoughts now. First of all, Paul Merson, let's have a little look at yours. Yours was slightly kinder to Arsenal. 2 players made your starting 11.
Yeah, because the other 3 I wanted to put and they didn't have it on their graphic.
Oh, that's why, is it? Always blame the graphics. Would you change anything now? I mean, Ozil didn't even make the squad at all.
I would probably put Torreira in instead of Dyer as a holding midfield player. I'm not sure about Dyer as a holding midfield player. I think he's a bit... I say the word lackadaisical. I think he thinks it's a bit too easy for him and he sort of slows the game up and he's a bit cash. So I might change it because of that. But, I mean, this is over 38 games. No, I mean, Ozil, I still think he's the best player out of both teams if everybody brought their A game. And Aubameyang, I couldn't pick any of Arsenal's back 4 in front of that back 4 and the goalie.
Yep. Tim, let's have a little look at yours, because this probably caused the most reaction. No red shirts, whatever there.
No, and if I had to change one, and on the back of seeing someone perform like he did in that North London derby, it would have to be Aubameyang in there for Son.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, on the day, I know Mercy's absolutely right. It's over 38 games. You know, we're not just talking about a one-off game. One swallow doesn't make a summer. But at the end of the day, I think he's performed so well since he's been to the Premier League. And on a massive game like North London derby, let's see how he played, and he was outstanding. So if I could go back in time, I would put Aubameyang in there. Anyone else? Torreira is on the right lines. With a performance like he gave at the weekend, if he continues that, and I see him go and dominate a little game at Old Trafford in midweek, and then continues to do it on a regular basis, then he's on his way to getting into that side. But you have to give these guys credit. These boys have been there year on year out for the last 3 or 4 years, and they've continually improved, and they're going deep into the Champions League like last year. You know, they've done it on a regular basis, game after game, not just on a one-off game. So I will still stick to my guns.
You sure? Because we did give you the opportunity and you changed it earlier on. You might have reverted back, but this is what you said.
Don't believe it.
Looks
Don't
much better,
believe the hype.
Excellent, you've taken that quite well.
I tell you, on the day you'd have to give them. Listen, I'll give them all the credit in the world. Arsenal, they performed fantastically well at the weekend. But as I say, it's about throughout the whole season. Can they replicate that again at Old Trafford and at the weekend again?
We'll find out.
They need to be able to be in a combined team. And let's make a point. We said it on the night. We talked about best individuals. We didn't talk about the best team. Teams win games, not individuals. And I think they have to realise that.
All right, saved it.